13 meters there? Great. I'll get 13 next, that'd be nice. Oh, and they can probably hear you, but not me. Just so you know. Greetings and welcome to SCP Review. I am your host, Director of Raffle Labs, as is typically the case, with my guest Haven and my assistant 58. Please do introduce yourself.
Hi there everyone, my name is 58008. I have been working as Director Art's personal assistant since he was first appointed director back in 1968. He has many memories issues, so I make sure his schedule runs smoothly.
Few things, 58. 1. I appointed me director because I founded Arketer Labs. 2. I don't have meaningful memory issues. It's more of a short-term whoopsie-doopsie forget thing. And 3, TMI. They didn't need to know any of that.
Sorry, sir.
And she's already forgotten to call me director too. In any case, thank you for joining me as well, Haven. Greetings in chat to who do we have? Let's see. K-Passa, 333, Snoopius 100, VGC Veteran, K Shoal, Haven, who, well, I suppose you already knew you were here, Manic, yes, who provided the game we're raffling off, Raven, and let's see, is there anyone I've missed? Oh, the Furry Bastard. I don't believe I've seen you in here before. Welcome, the Furry Bastard. Glad you could make it, if this is the first stream you've attended. No, I don't have dementia. Just a bit forgetful, absent-minded sometimes. I remember where I live, and I have never read pause on a teleprompter. Nor have I actually ever used a teleprompter. So do keep that in mind. I, like all the rest of you, have proven on a regular basis objectively more capable than the President of the United States of America. Ostensibly the President, anyway. And that's politics. We're not here to discuss real-world horrors and embarrassments and, staggering shames to entire nations. We're here to address imaginary shames and horrors and embarrassments to entire nations. You may recall, last week we stopped halfway through an SCP file. We don't usually do that. I normally feel compelled to go through them even in overtime, but it seemed like it might take another hour to go through, and I didn't want to keep Haven up late. I understand they're a very busy person, has to keep the schedule, and I want to keep them in good health, you see. That's my excuse, and I'm rolling with it. No objections, Haven, I hope? Push fast first.
Of course not.
Excellent. Very good. My gamble paid off. And so we will continue with the second interlude. The Nutty Drip. Hail Hydrant. Welcome, Deep Six. Glad you all could make it. We have 16 people here and 8 likes thus far. If this gets to 13 likes or more, I'll consider the stream a success. or if you throw money at me, that would be nice. Again, we are raffling off a game on this stream. This time, it's Battlestar Galactica Deadlock, as provided by Manic, as in here, with his line that he had Alzheimer's once, but he listened to his Italian friend and forget about it. We'll just move on the speed. Thank you, the furry bastard. My comedic indignation is surely comedy gold. SCP file. We are on SCP-783 L2. Haven, did you want to trade off on this one as before?
Sure.
The following is the second recorded exploration regarding SCP-783 case file. Please refer to the primary documentation for the information. Some of you might be here for the first time, so quick address a recap of the previous stream that you can still review as its own record for now. This is SCP-783, The Crooked Man, based around a poem regarding a crooked man, and apparently he has, in the Foundation universe, existed and formed some sort of hive mind death cult. We're not really clear on it. It involves a lot of giant, stretchy, broken arms and people murdered through grotesque deformity. Very, very awkward stuff. Bit creepy. Very popular, I understand, as a game that Markiplier did once, which I tried to get through Haven, although I have to say I got terribly distracted. I'm not quite as drawn into pixel top-down games as I once was. I suppose a function of getting older, as we all must. Thanks, leveling's fast.
It's made with RPG Maker, and there has been hundreds, if not thousands, of games that are now seen as cult that was made with that system, but it is very, very, very pixelated.
Yeah.
They don't age well, but stuff like Mad Father and other horror games like that are made with it.
Yep.
See, I can make commentary.
It's appreciated.
Like 50, like your AI.
Yeah. How do cyberpunk goggles ostensibly cause forgetfulness? Look, if I'm forgetful and absent-minded, I know exactly why. It's because I grew up as an American, surrounded by things that are flashy and deleterious to one's attention span, and furthermore, have been subject to the same attention span destroying methods that have crippled the attention span and seemingly intellect of a vast number of Americans across the board, like Twitter and the internet in general, which has made a lot of people dumber. A lot of people.
You also don't have enough blood in. You also don't have enough blood in your high fructose corn syrup system.
Okay, that was true. I've come a long way, but that was true. There's just no getting past that.
Yeah.
All this is, of course, very bad for cognition, and I bear my scars. Right, on to SCP-783-L2. Following the second recorded exploration regarding SCP-783 case file, please refer to the primary documentation for further information. Field Log 2, would you like to take the first paragraph, Haven?
Yes. Due to the events which transpired during SCP-783-L1, it is determined that the spatial zone accessible through the knot of corpses within the town of Tembe is likely recursive, being bordered on all sides by successive iterations of itself. Essentially, the dimension consists of perfect copies of a single cell in an endless grid layout. The Special Operative SO would be required to effectively traverse the locale.
Special Operative Nix is requisitioned from Site-121 in the United States. She was chosen due to her expertise in traversing extra-spatial locales featuring recurring topology. I do wonder where she gained expertise in that. They've successfully mapped 27 iterations of SCP-783, Engineer Supply Line for Mobile Task Force Tierfing Black during their second tour of SCP, not 783 presumably, and having successfully navigated an escape route through Site 28 during a emergency extraction of assets.
After a full debriefing and several viewings of D-2172's exploration log, SO Nix spent the first week on site personally inspecting the town limits of baseline Tembi and denoting points of interest along the wooded outskirts of her personal map. It is only after she had acquainted herself with the local topography that she requisitions materials from HQ and makes a final preparations for her dive into the Tembi pit of corpses. On the 8th day, SO Nix returns to the site with the following.
We can draw from bullet points if you like. 1,000
Sure.
referencing exit markers. Oregon.
A prismatic compass and map of Tembi.
Sufficient rations for a 3-day excursion.
Wireless AV surveillance camera.
An M1014 shotgun with side saddle. 12 gauge buckshot. Times 60.
A shotgun shell bandolier. A 12 gauge buckshot times 20. 12 gauge slug times 36.
Nice. Quick
I don't
interruption.
know what that is.
Manic has just thrown $10 at me just
Ooh.
to have me say, boop!
I'm pretty sure she also brought a boop. Pretty sure she brought 2.
Well, no, Manic just bought the one to say boop. Lieutenant Timberwolf has just thrown $20 at me to say, be honest, you're just getting old with that self-employment since 1968, and all the bull you've had to deal with since. You don't know me. So 1968, does anyone really believe that? Look, I'm sure I am starting to look very crusty, but I'm not that crusty. Wait, this could be a terrible slight to anyone who was born in 1968. Maybe. But thank you very much for your kind and generous support. This, by the way, does entitle both of you, as far as I'm concerned, to request SCPs straight out. Although, for the sake of the audience presently watching, and because I hate leaving things halfway done, I would like to get through this one first. Right. A shotgun shell bandolier, 12 gauge buckshot times 20, 12 gauge slug times 36.
A 124-inch machete.
Oh yes, and this stream is a success. At now 16 likes. Thank you everyone, you've been very kind. Whoever put the 16th apparently pissed off because now we only got 13 viewers with that. But this means I have a success rate over 100%. You know, that's kind of hard to pull off. At least that's how I'm choosing to view it. It could also mean that, you know, it would just be nice. Unit K121, 2-year-old Dutch Shepherd named Topos.
Agent Collins is chosen to oversee command during the excursion owing to the sickness which had affected her colleagues during the previous expedition's broadcast.
Special Officer Nix spends an hour, Special Operative Nix spends an hour in the evening practicing quick-load maneuvers for her firearm. By noon, she is outfitted in full tactical protective gear. Both Special Operative Nix and K9121 are lowered through the Tembi mass grave, one after the other at sunrise. Once within the Tembi replica, Special Operative Nix is able to repair the relay device installed during the first exhibition by D2172. The camera feed activates.
Should I just read the whole first thing?
If you want, we can trade off that way.
Yeah, sure. There is a light early morning fog permeating the air as the feed activates. SO Nix scans the surrounding fields and farmlands, identifying no immediate threats. There is no sign of D2172. She turns and calls out to K9121, who is partially obscured by the arms reaching up from the body pit's tangle of corpses. As K9121 comes around to meet up with SO Nix, it passes beneath a low-hanging limb from one of the bodies, which breaks with an audible crack. The gnarled limb stops just short of touching Canine 121 before it's swiftly severed by S.O. Nix's machete. As the pair depart, intermittent cracks can be heard from the grounded appendage as it continues to convulse and fracture.
By the way, thank you all for now 18 likes. And yes, that might very well be a new record. At least not for a very long time. I might have broken that long ago. So this is truly special. Much appreciated. Greetings, by the way, to Anthem Ward and Brain Shatterer, Bug Norris. I think I've gotten everyone here. Excellent idea for an SCP, and kind of a funny parallel to this. Moving on. The first 15 minutes of their travels consisted of heading in a southeasterly direction, gradually identifying memorized aspects of the environment such as fauna and rock formations flanking the wooded path out of town. Due to the lack of life forms, the only sounds are crunching leaves as they progress. It is once again a felled tree spotted that Special Operative Nix identifies a point at which should be in the northwestern area of the town. At this point, an REM is hung from a nearby branch. Special Operative Nix walks off the path into the woods to further delineate the area in which the Replicate Tembi ends and the next cell in the grid begins. Special Operative Nix methodically begins canvassing the woods and cross-referencing her map, placing REMs to delineate the boundaries of the primary zone. K121 bounds through the woods alongside her in this time, occasionally sniffing the area. 45 minutes pass uneventfully until K121 pauses, alert and focused on the area off in the distance ahead. Special Operative Nix readies her shotgun, and the pair proceed with caution. Up ahead, a long, gnarled white shape can be seen snaking through the undergrowth and between trees, partially obscured beneath scattered leaves and detritus. K9121 approaches within a meter of the object before halting. At Special Operative Nix's command, upon approach, mild white flesh can be made out, as well as varicose veins running across its length. The appendage trails far off in the distance and outside the boundaries of the primary Tembi facility. On one end, the other end terminates in an average-sized foot nearby. At the beseech of command, Special Operative Nix moves to investigate the foot, which can be seen to sport a colorful tattoo encircling the shin. Closer inspection reveals it to be an oriental dragon, its mouth opened and consuming the tail in an Ouroboros. This confirms the identity of the cadaver as belonging to D2172. Special Operative Nix asks command for orders considering the course of action.
An alarm is set off within the base. Command is notified that Dr. Lafayette has escaped their quarters with the assistance of D774. A search unit is deployed and the residents of Baseline Tembi are notified of the fugitives. Should I continue?
Go ahead.
Receiving no guidance from command, S.O. Nix states her intention to follow D2172's limb through the woods into the next cell in the grid. She calls Canine 121 to her side and they begin walking. 3 quick bone-splintering cracks can be heard behind the pair. S.O. Nix quickly returns, drawing her shotgun to see the angle of D2172 has snapped and twisted such that the foot is raised off the ground and slightly coiled, toes pointing in her direction. Canine 121 puts itself in front of her, raising its haunches and emits a low growl. S.O. Nix backs away slowly. She puts an additional 3 meters between herself and the foot, with no signs of further movement from it. She whistles for Canine 121, and they continue following the limb. The two follow D2172's leg for approximately 1.5 kilometers, where it then zigzags up a nearby incline, crossing the perpendicular to a dirt path that ascends a rocky hill. Checking her map, S.O. Nix identifies herself as having arrived at the base of Shallow's Peak, Tembi's highest point of elevation, which lay to the north of town. She attempts to radio command to no avail, then reports that she will ascend the hill in order to use the elevation to canvass the area and provide a SID rep The ascent takes roughly 20 minutes.
Dr. Lafayette is recovered by a Tembi constable after trying to enlist the help of local police. They are brought back to base. Agent Collins leaves the control room in order to aid Dr. Lafayette and ensure he receives proper medical care. D-774 was shot and killed during the confrontation that led to Dr. Lafayette's capture. Their remains are returned to base. Cresting the second leg of the hill, the trail can be seen to lead alongside a rocky wall, ending at the mouth of a small cave. Special Operative Nix notes this cave does not exist in baseline Tembi. As she nears the entrance, the visual feed degrades slightly. K9121 whines quietly and is assuaged by Special Operative Nix. In between static interference, the cave is seen to possess signs of habitation. To the right, the walls can be seen to have been carved to create small shelves speckled with indiscernible filth. An ancient cast-iron-lidded pot sits in the center of the room, atop a mound of partially burnt petrified wood encircled by rocks. On the left, discoloration roughly a 3-by-1 area of the cave's rear suggests former existence of bedding in that corner, long since rotted away. Special Operative Nix takes 2 steps before stopping short. She looks to K9121, who remains outside the cave entrance, head lightly bowed and its tail tucked between its legs. Special Operative Nix heads over to K9121, kneels down and coddles the animal, petting it and commanding it to remain in place. Standing back up, she moves inside to check the shelves. Small bits of wicker, possibly some form of ornamentation, crumble upon being touched. Advancing to the pot, a carving can be seen on its side, which she inspects. She removes the pot's lid and gags. It is shown to be filled with murky brown pool of stagnant water, within which floats several objects, unable to be made out until Special Operative Nix activates her headlamp and gasps at the sight of a dozen small bones. Based off the most clearly visible of these is an owner. It is estimated that the remains belong to an individual of no more than 2 months of age. The display is further plagued by static.
So Nix replaces the lid and sets the pot down carefully. She pauses momentarily, partly stands, and then staggers, and then proceeds to fall to her knees and vomit profusely. She curses quietly and sniffles afterwards for a minute, obscuring the camera feed as she wipes her face. Looking up, a small nook in the cave wall can be seen at foot level. Beside where the bed previously lay, something small and brown is inside it. So Nix takes a few deep breaths, and then races to a stand. Static builds as Nix crosses over to investigate. She kneels, reaches her hand inside, and pulls out the object. The visual field is overcome by white noise, though Nix can still be heard, reports finding some form of diary. Flipping through the first few withered pages reveals little of import. Any content that may have once been present long since faded. She continues to scan the document, then a hollow popping noise rings out. Turning quickly, no immediate threat or change in the surroundings is seen. Canine 121 begins approaching cautiously. Not a sharp, wet pop is heard. Canine 121 growls as Nix glances about for the noise's source. It sounds off a third time, and the lid of the cast iron pot vibrates as it's struck from within. Nix flees the cave.
Meanwhile,
the attached image... What?
Go ahead.
The attached image says, likely a representation of breaking wheel. A medieval torture device which would have a criminal trapped to the wheel, with their limbs being broken repeatedly. Victims would be kept alive in this state until they succumbed to their injuries.
Yeah, medieval punishments were, well, medieval. With D-774's remains being tended by Director Kim, Agent Collins and Dr. Lafayette arrive at the control room. Agent Collins dons the headset and announces her presence to Special Operative Nix. Special Operative Nix has reached the top of Shallow's Peak by the time Commander is able to reach her, and relays the events of the previous hour. From her perspective, she is clearly able to see both the replicate Tembi to the east, where she entered, as well as its iterative copy to the west, in the cell she now occupies. In a panoramic shot, a dozen windmills of further Tembi replicates can be viewed far off in the distance. She explains to Command that although the pattern of the surrounding area supports the recursion iteration theory of this dimension's layout, that there are noted inconsistencies within the grid she inhabits. Beyond this cave, which did not exist in baseline or in replicate Tembi, she points out a small grove of dead trees that seemingly has no parallel elsewhere in the grid. Similarly, Special Operative Nix claims to have spotted an unidentifiable structure in the town center of Tembi in her cell. Upon query from Command as to why there would be a deviation in the pattern, Special Operative Nix suggests that the presence of D2172 across the boundary of two iterations may be causing fluctuations in the integrity of the grid cell she occupies, likening it to cellular lysis. Special Operative Nix explains how the border between spatial zones could be weakened by foreign material occupying two cells in grid simultaneously for an extended period of time, a problem that prohibited the building of Outpost 41 within SP Redacted several years prior. Despite the instability of the cell, she posits that the deformations in the zone may be reflections of the historical state of Tembi, and therefore present valuable research opportunity that merits further exploration. Special Operative Nix begins her descent. Small cracks and pops can be heard, still reverberating within the cave as she passes. She does not look inside. Someone is sobbing. Oh wow, we're up to 22 likes.
Holy moly.
Noisosaurus just now. Not, intentionally. Meanwhile, at the end of this, we definitely have that raffle. As I understand, Maddox wanted to know the detail of the raffle. So I have to say, the game we're raffling off, if you want to get ahead of it, again, is Battlestar Galactica Deadlock, and you enter the raffle simply by just tagging me in chat at Director Arketer. Should do, probably. I should probably type something in chat just to make it easier. There we go. Me. Tag this guy if you want it on the raffle. Entrants will be getting numbers in the order in which they entered. Not that it'll matter, because it's going to be determined by random.org and cosmic background radiation, which doesn't care in what order you join the raffle. I'll just number wins regardless. Right. Greetings, RSO. At. Type at, in this case, Director Arketer, and then you say, I'm in the raffle. Or I would like to enter the raffle. Something along those lines. I'm pretty sure 22 is quite the record. Thank you all for that. Really appreciate it. Right. Would you care to continue?
Yes. At the bottom of the hill, a path of dead grass and foliage can be seen where previously D2172's leg had lain. Canine 121 sniffs about this area and begins following the trail further into the cell in the direction of the next Tembi. The two travel at a steady pace, with SO-Nix regularly checking behind them as they progress. The forest slightly darkens as cloud cover obscures the sun. The sharp report of bone snapping echoes in the distance. SO-Nix holds a shotgun at a low-ready position and double-checks the safety. Another crack. The splintering of bone sounds off repeatedly from an indiscernible source as SO-Nix levels her weapon, attempting to follow the noise. Another crack. Small branches and leaves fall and flitter about as the foot of D2172 emerges from the canopy. Dangling from above, it quickly twists and breaks, turning to face SO-Nix with its toes. It is immediately met with 3 rapid bursts of buckshot. The appendage dangles loosely, dripping blood from its shredded remains. The foot almost entirely destroyed, consisting of chunks of flesh suspended by the ankle, with only the posterior and anterior digits remaining. It lolls to and fro from the concussive force of the shots, swaying impotently. K9 121 snarls and barks at the appendage. SO-Nix keeps her weapon trained on it, as it to work to carefully circumvent it. It is as they pass it that the appendage swiftly plunges to the ground, trailed by several meters of leg. The appendage is swollen from countless fractures across its length, giving it dozens of points of extra articulation. SO-Nix breaks into a run as the coiled mass begins to shift. The two barrel through the forest, Canine 1-1 in the lead, leaping and dodging over obstacles in the terrain. Behind them, a furore of rustling and banging can be heard as the leg bursts through the foliage and violently rebounds off trees, tearing through the woods in pursuit. SO-Nix takes a sharp right, then a left, followed by another right, in an attempt to carve a path that would have D-2172's leg caught up and entangled between trees. As Canine 1-1 continued on a more direct route towards town, SO-Nix is now alone. There is a crash as the appendage ricochets off a nearby tree to her right, with the remains of D-2172's foot shooting perpendicular across her path, barring progress as the length of leg snakes behind it. SO-Nix transitions into a low slide, avoiding collision, and fires into the flesh of the leg. The leg convulses as she rolls, races to her feet, and ducks beneath a limb and breaks off running. After 5 paces, the feet shakes as she is struck from behind and falls face first to the ground. Quickly coming to a kneel, her shotgun can be seen laying several feet away in the brush. As she begins to crawl towards it, there is a quick flash of mottled flesh across the feet. The limb crosses in front of her once, twice, 3 times. SO-Nix groans as the appendage warps around her. Looking down, it is clear that her arms are pinned to her sides. Her machete lay at her hip, inches from her grasping hand as she struggles. The leg pulls back, twisting in on itself even further, coiling about her like a snake, jerking the feet about as she is spun backwards into its manifold. The twirling ceases and SO-Nix screams as the limb tightens around her. The remains of D-2172's foot comes into view. It hovers before SO-Nix. There is a pair of cracks as the remaining pinky and big toe splinter and fracture, forming 2 sharp prongs that pinpoints her face. It rears back momentarily before it plunges forward. Just as it is about to strike SO-Nix, there is a flurry of motion. Canine 1-1 leaps from off-camera, catching D-2172's foot in its mouth. The limb writhes as the animal wrestles with the appendage. The leg loosens, dropping SO-Nix. The appendage twists and curls as Canine 1-1 tears into it with his teeth, quivering in an unnatural manner. SO-Nix crawls towards her firearm as they contend with one another in the background. She grabs her gun and turns in time to see the legs sweep under the feet of Canine 1-1, wrap around the canine and retract at a rapid pace. The dog yelps as the limb ensnares it and absconds off into the woods away from SO-Nix.
Agent Collins informs Special Operative Nix that she needs to progress towards the next town. She's advised not to follow the limb and to consider the animal a lost asset. Of course. Just a quick moment to note. I have presently Raven and Timberwolf registered for the Raffle of Deadlock, which I'll play the trailer for since we're done with this incredibly long SCP, which I'm finding mostly funny at this point. But, you know, it's very high drama and very touching. I mean, poor 1-2-1. Good doggo. There. How dare she consider leaving the dog behind? I bet she's going to rescue it.
Bet it won't end badly at all.
Ignoring command, the Special Operative Nix charges after the fleeing leg. The knot of flesh wrapped around K9121 shreds a path of the forest, ripping through the brush and felling some of the smaller trees. Special Operative Nix curses and pants as he chases after it. The leg begins to draw itself upward to pull the animal's weight up alongside it and out of sight. As it drags itself away, the mass becomes caught up between a pair of trees positioned one beside another. K9121 whimpers as the leg constricts in an attempt to squeeze through. Special Operative Nix catches up, discarding her shotgun and lunging forward with a swift blow from her machete. There's a high-pitched shriek in the distance. She strikes it again, and again, and again. She bellows a long scream as she viciously assaults the leg, cutting clear into the flesh and revealing bone. She hacks and chops and shouts as the dog whines and attempts to free itself. The leg ceases its attempt to pull through the trees, and instead raises sharply upwards, knocking Special Operative Nix away. The cries of the K9121 can be heard above her before trailing off in the far distance out of earshot.
Someone is sobbing. SO Nix screams in anger. She stands shouting threats off into the wilderness after the leg, crying out for it to return, swearing retribution. It takes several minutes for her to calm down. She radios command, asking for help to hunt the leg of D2172, and is denied. She is instructed to either investigate the Tembi in her cell or abort the mission, and chooses the former. She retrieves her firearm and continues progress. Given the distance traveled during the chase, it is not long before she is met with the farmland, which encircles this version of Tembi. Unlike the baseline town, the farmlands here are barren. Not a single piece of vegetation sprouts from the dirt, but is seen to appear dry and infertile as she treks onward.
I'm sorry, I know this is meant to be very touching. I mean, she fought so hard for that doggo, oh no! But let's remember that this is a simple professional, one, and two, this is a horrifying flesh horror forest where a leg just tried to emulate a snake and kill her. I'm pretty sure that's not the sort of thing any sane person shouts threats at, even if they are really sad about a lost dog. Some people wonder why I don't crack up very often. It's because the things that really crack me up are not things that typically crack up other people. This is a pretty good example. I'm being presented this and told to take it seriously, and I just can't. Well, in any case, quickly noting, I hope you're all enjoying the stream. So far, I've got Raven and Timberwolf marked down for the raffle. If anyone else wants to join the raffle, it's just a matter of tagging me in chat and saying, I want to join the raffle. And Timberwolf, if you didn't actually mean to register for the raffle, then you should probably tell me that too, because I just saw the tag and assumed... Greetings in chat, Kefki and Brad Young, belatedly. So,
Hey, Campers.
glad you could all make it. Any more for the raffle? We'll worry about that more when we get to the end of this. Entering the town, Special Operative Nix stalks silently through the streets. She rounds a corner, peering into the general store as she passes, revealing several SCP-783 victims pressed up against the plate glass. There is still another on the second story of the hardware store across the street. 3 more peer out from within, a sedan half parked on the curb, having crashed into a lamppost. Another is visible beneath the gate of a storm drain, its face contorted and pressed up against the bars with enough force that bits of fat press upward through them. None move to attack. A sudden cacophony of splintering wood and breaking glass interrupts the silence. Turning around, Special Operative Nix sees that the buildings flanking at the end of the street have taken a broken, crooked appearance. Their foundations crumble, a hallmark of SCP-783's influence. Before Special Operative Nix can react, the pair of buildings collapse inwards, blocking the road she'd entered from. It is unknown if it is the sudden noise or the possible presence of SCP-783 itself, but the corpses spotted throughout the town begin to shudder violently. The trio in the car can be seen to thrash about wildly as their bones break and snap and crack and rapidly heal and stretch. Within seconds, the entirety of the sedan is full of flesh knotted together and writhing. The windshield cracks from the pressure.
The 774 enters the control room. SO Nix continues towards the town center. It is here that a major deviation from baseline Tembi is discovered. In the center of the intersection, before the steps of the town hall, stands a sizable wooden platform, supported on a large sturdy base. Erected in the middle of the platform is a large rounded contraption. There is an unidentifiable mound upon it. As Onyx approaches, ascending the stairs, revealing the contraception to be a wheel with several spokes radiating from its center. The mound is a nude and disheveled human strapped to the device, face down. In each area where their limbs cross an empty space between the wheel spokes, the appendages gnarled and broken, with their left legs swollen and grossly extended. It trails off the side of the platform. Looking to her right, a singular piece of parchment can be seen nailed to a post atop the stairs. The document is a sensationalized proclamation of guilt, identifying an individual by the name of Hinger Wundibald. The paper denounces him as a highwayman guilty of theft, child murder, rape, witchcraft, and cannibalism. It finally goes on to state that the ruling of this punishment, asserting that he is to be broken on the wheel. SO confirms with command that they've a clear capture of the paper's contents before she casts it aside. She takes a moment to re-rack her shotgun with slug ammunition and moves towards the macabre display. Prodding the corpse with the barrel of her shotgun elicits no response. She deftly circles around to its front to get a look at its face. Kneeling down, the visage of D-2172 comes into view. His face is bloated, features twisted in agony. Upon verifying its identity, SO follows the length of his leg with her camera, seeing it lead off behind a nearby building. She states her intention to follow it to K9 121, but is interrupted by a low moan. Turning back, the corpse of D-2172's eyes focus on her. She reels backwards and discharges her weapon. Due to the close proximity, the shot removes the upper part of D-2172's head. The body gurgles and seethes as she stands and fires the next 2 rounds down its trunk, causing D-2172 to spray a torrent of blood from the remains of its mouth. SO recoils as she is coated in these fluids, stumbling back. There is a sickening crack as the lower jaw of D-2172 contorts and lengthens along the right side, and another snap as the left half breaks and extends. 3 more cracks can see the jawline widening and lengthening. It lashes out as she attempts to quick load, just missing her face and spraying yet more blood that obscures the feed. The sound of SO hurriedly descending the staircase is heard. While there can be seen to be movement on the camera feed, no details are discernible. The next several minutes consist primarily of audio, as SO evades and combats the ever-breaking jaw of D-2172. All that can be heard are her shouts and cries, the breaking and splintering of bone, and the sound of rent flesh as SO fends off the attack with her machete. In the midst of the struggle, a lone shotgun blast rings out. The weapon can be heard clattering to the ground before all falls silent. The feed is darkened as SO rubs the camera, clearing it to the best of her ability. It will remain smeared for the remainder of filming, but the aftermath of the struggle can be seen. The jaw of D-2172 stretches from its corpse and crisscrosses through the intersection. Blood blankets the majority of the area, and several teeth are visible, having been knocked from the gum line. SO is panting and heaving. She looks down, revealing that she lost the index finger on her right hand. She swears as she covers it with her free hand in an attempt to stem the bleeding. She canvasses the ground for the lost digit, which is then spotted laying several feet away. As she rushes towards it, it seizes and wriggles, snapping and beginning to elongate. SO turns to retreat, dipping down mid-run to grab her firearm as she flees. Despite prodding from command, SO does not return to the execution platform to scour for more evidence. She instead rushes along the length of leg trailing from D-2172's corpse. She curses over the radio at Agent Collins, casting her helmet aside. Last that is seen of SO Nix is her running down the length of road alongside D-2172's leg. She follows it around the corner. Several minutes pass uneventfully. The leg of D-2172 then shifts and gyrates, snapping the ground with excessive force for approximately 30 seconds before becoming still. A minute later, the lens spontaneously cracks. There is heavy breathing. Someone is sobbing. The area darkens as it is cast in shadow. The feed terminates as the camera is destroyed. SO Nix is deemed AWOL. With the nature of the dimension fully understood, it is determined that a fully armed force would be required to capture, or for the capture or elimination of SCP-783.
Well, yes and no, I would say. What they should probably find out rather than now is whether or not 786 physically leaves this shadow Tembi in order to hunt someone in actual Tembi, which in that case, all they really need to do is figure out how to seal off the corpse gate. It can starve in there. Or maybe it won't starve in there, but at least it will be contained. Something couldn't get out on its own. Well done, Haven. Please note that even though we did a trade-off on this, if at any point you get tired in a situation like this and want to trade off for paragraphs or go back to some previous schema.
Yeah, the paragraphs would be better. My dyslexia was playing with me a lot.
Yes. Just noting, you can trade off. It's not obligatory, but it's not.
Yeah.
Right. And that is all of the documentation, as the next report is in fact expunged. I, of course, am certain that Special Operative Nix is clearly just doom-guying it across Shadow Tembis to great victory, with, of course, K9121 by their side, having wrestled them from the giant snake leg, which is why, of course, it thrashed about when still, because she cut the head off, the foot off of the leg snake. Well, that was fun. Again, we can't go to L3 because the, either the Mobile Task Force deployed to contain SCP-783 did a good job and they don't want to brag, or it went so bad that the Foundation, at least this one, doesn't really want to talk about it. In which case, I hope they at least tried to properly contain the corpse gate, because that seems like the next practical point of approach, personally. Now, here's Battlestar Galactica Deadlock.
Give the Cylons a victory today. Set Condition 1 throughout the fleet. We will not give the Cylons a victory today. A battle can be turned in the single moment that you take full control. Prepare flak on the Jupiter's port broadside, then focus all other firing solutions on their corvette. And I want those alert Vipers in the air now. Tell the Atlas carrier to intercept and start soaking up their fire. Burn the Tilium reserves if they have to. This Minotaur won't hold for much longer.
On it, Commander.
Divert course, and focus on that frigate. Ranger, prepare a nuclear strike on their base star, then follow up with an aggressive firing solution. Give them no quarter. While they're left reeling from the nuke, we'll use the adamant to pressure their flank and clean up the lighter craft. As for this corvette, sometimes that hard 6 never appears. There's little left that we can do for them now. Godspeed, Manticore.
You have about, I would say, another 2 minutes before I basically lock down applications and go ahead and roll for it. Timberwolf, you were rolling, well, you didn't tell me you weren't rolling, so I assume you are rolling, which means between you and Raven, that's light competition. It's open to anyone. Notably, if anyone does win, who doesn't already know, I will need access to and text from either Discord or X, formerly called Twitter, and much better called Twitter. For twits. Still true. Improved, but only by so much, really. Regardless, greetings, you're wrong. Perhaps you would like to enter the raffle for Battlestar Galactica Deadlock. I understand it comes with a whole lot of DLC. This has been once again provided by Manic. Thank you for your promotion, by the way, Manic. I appreciate all promotion any of you do. I also very much, of course, appreciate the generous monetary supplement of the patrons in this case. I really do, because I don't have a Patreon. I should have made a new one at some point, but I just don't like going back after I quit something. So, such patronage is the only patronage I get. Just noting. It's appreciated. Anyone else who want into the raffle? No? I think we will go ahead and roll then. Next, I would note we probably don't have enough time for another SCP, but if you know of a very good short one, feel free to toss it out. Meanwhile, after this roll, I'll see what 58 thought about it. Join the raffle battle. Sorry. Blue. Okay, pass it. 333. Are you saying you want to join the raffle? Because or encouraging other people to join the raffle? Typically should tag at Director Arketer, really simplify. Meanwhile, 25 likes. This stream is already a colossal success, and again, I very much appreciate it. We're determining who gets a copy of Battlestar Galactica Deadlock using random.org. If you've seen the show before, you know how this goes. I roll a number, highest number wins. Okay, pass the 333. Were you joining? If not, just no. I just don't want anyone to miss out. Okay, you're on left Discord. I suppose, okay, no. Pass the 333 was not joining. You're wrong, ditch Discord, which could make it difficult to get them the key if they win. I suppose, well, okay then. Moving on. First number for Raven is 37. Not the most auspicious, but I'm still not entirely certain that, well, Timberwolf intentionally entered. However, if they did, they won with a roll of 40. Sympathies, Raven. Although once I confirmed this with Timberwolf that they actually intended to enter and weren't just putting up demonstration of how one enters, you might have still won it. Just throwing that out there. I don't know. Do you want to see if Timberwolf ever said they weren't actually joining the raffle? Either. Didn't know what they are, I suppose. 58008. We just read an SCP involving a crooked man. It's called the Crooked Man, but apparently some sort of ancient bandit criminal who was evil wizard, cannibal, baby eater, and upon being broken on the wheel, cursed the town of Tembe, where he continues to kill people and cause them to be hive mind flesh things that break their limbs and expand in order to be really, really obnoxious. What did you think of it?
Well, sir,
Go on.
well, sir,
Are you feeling all right? 58008. This is. We don't need this dramatic pause. Please, no dramatic pauses. Dramatic pauses suck.
I thought the whole concept of the crooked man was interesting, and the idea of him cursing the town of Tembe to become hive-mind creatures after death was intriguing. However, I would recommend having the crooked man appear in the story at least once to give readers something tangible to relate to the main conflict.
Naturally, that's pretty well observed, 58. At no point did the actual crooked man appear. He just apparently is causing everyone he captures to suffer his fate in a very weird and nonsensical way as a whole.
It's because he only appears to kill people who are alone in
Ah,
their
yes,
own
sir.
houses.
The crooked man himself does not appear, but his curse does, which leads to the various effects described throughout the article.
I guess.
No, true.
He's kind of like a Diogen, actually.
Well, yes, but he pointedly does never appear. Like, even when he's abducting and killing someone on the spot, they never show him, just a form. I don't know, I suppose. It's a bit of a moot point, because whatever he is, at this point, he's some sort of infernal hive mind, as all of the corpses are clearly connected. So, bit of a moot point. Well, in any case, best of luck to Special Operative Nick as they girl boss their way through, Nightmare Limb Flesh Horror Town. I'm sure going to be very happy with K9121.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, Lieutenant Timberwolf Road is just a demo.
Oh, okay, well then, plot twist, you won after all, Raven. Congratulations. Greetings in chat, Jinx. You got here just in time for the very absolute end, but it's been a fantastic stream, so you might want to review it later. I don't expect you were necessarily in a rush to join Raffle for, Battlestar Galactica Deadlock. So you have nothing to regret. Congratulations, Raven. And this was, in hindsight, I can't tell if this was actually dramatic or anticlimactic as a Raffle. I'm not going to complain in any case. Thank you again, Manic, for making the game available, your generous patronage, and all of you for your attention. No refunds. On the attention, especially. I couldn't refund it if I wanted to, and I surely don't. Call me greedy. Greetings! Well, I'm pretty sure I was using a different name prior. If I didn't pronounce your name correctly, what can I say? I'm American. I'm doing well.
I can't read that. It's like way too small.
But see, there you go. Only Haven doesn't have my excuse. Well, I think we're 3 minutes from being done here. Okay, sure, had a request. If it's short enough, I wouldn't mind going over time to address it, since there was no request from the patrons. Sorry if I should offend anyone by leaning towards paying fans? Generous donators? It's not like I'm charging one. When money gets thrown at me, I try to pay it back through services. Above the board, clearly visible, entirely legal service. Just no way to make that sound right.
I mean, you do say that if you pay to the show, you can guarantee that we will read whatever SCP that they wish for.
Now, strictly speaking, if they were inclined, either of them, to demand something right now, I would go another time as a default to make good on that particular request. After all, collectively, they actually put this into what would have been an entire full second hour if this had been the SRS. Mind you, I wouldn't be, Oh, the finer print was up here just to say, up yours. Well, no you. Okay, I'm caught up. I can't find Keishal's request, though.
It's 3980.
3980? Shall we take a quick look at it?
It's not too bad. I already took a look.
Oh, well, thank you for being well ahead of me. It's appreciated. Far be it from me to be angry that someone did something before I could think to do it, so long as they're not trying to screw me over, in which case, it's all good. If they are trying to screw me over, though, we won't discuss it now.
I'm thinking it'll take like 10 minutes to read this.
Well, let's go ahead and do it then. I'll call it a banked SCP for next time. Yeah, no, it's actually perfectly reasonable, Manic. Strictly speaking, you've come up with an SCP you really want read even before the next stream. If you contact me, I can even plot to start with that particular SCP file. I need your undying
And make
love,
a cool
Director,
thumbnail.
please. Ha 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 ha. Is that wishing me to be killed and raised from the dead as your undead servant? In which case, no. But platonically, I love you all. Platonically. At a great distance. From an undisclosed location, I platonically love you all.
Theoretically.
And
Ostensibly.
maybe not all of you. Let's be fair. Most of you. I'm sure it's entirely probable, in fact, that exceptions do apply. But I wouldn't necessarily know any of you well enough to know the reasons as to why I didn't know. Any case. Proceeding. Well, I didn't want to be uncouth about it, Manic. SCP-3980, item number, as before, object class, Arketer, provisional. Special containment procedures. The former forward operating base lock has become de facto containment site for SCP-3980. The above-ground portions of the base have been raised. The subterranean areas have been entombed beneath several thousand tons of concrete and paved over. Isn't that kind of... Physical containment beyond these measures has been deemed unnecessary. How about you take the next two in this context?
Yeah. All transmissions from FOB lock are to be disregarded. There were no survivors. Several former personnel from FOB lock have been detained within what used to be Side 5 to the power of 1, which is now Side 087, until the perpetrator behind incident log slash 3980 has been identified. Innocent parties may be released if and when this occurs. The guilty party is to be executed. The method of termination has yet to be decided.
Description. SCP-3980 is an unidentified anomaly responsible for loss of FOB lock and the deaths of 107 Foundation personnel on 2/14/2000. This event has been designated Incident Lock 3980 due to its recent acquisition prior to this date, the destructive nature of the event in question, and the loss of physical documentation as well as all hands-on site. Its exact nature and properties have yet to be definitively ascertained.
Currently, all information on SCP-3980 has been gleaned through the first-hand accounts of the personnel who were stationed at FOB Lock and had been off-site at the time of the event. These former personnel suffer mild to severe impairment of their mental faculties and memory, possibly due to previous interaction with SCP-3980. Despite this, all personnel are in agreement that Incident Log /3980 is the result of sabotage on the part of one of their number. Each suspect claims to know who their saboteur is, but are incapable of providing this information when prompted. The suspects are otherwise wholly compliant with their imprisonment.
Excuse me. The following is a summarized list of traits that have been ascribed to SCP-3980 by former FOB Lock personnel. Parentheticals denote sources of each claim. We'll trade off in the bullet points.
Yes.
It's always embarrassing when one manages to choke on water.
Gotta love that. SCP-3980 is either self-replicating, researcher Bond, self-sustaining security chief Matthias, or possibly ectoentropic Dr. Walters.
There may be as few as 5, Director Peterson, or as many as 10,000 instances. Private order of SCP-3980.
SCP-3980 is infectious, being transmissible between human subjects, researcher Bond.
SCP-3980 is a space-time aberration, researcher Quest.
SCP-3980 requires either willful human operator / host, D-Class 774, or conspirator, D-Class 209, to enter an active state.
SCP-3980 exists in a purely metaphysical sense and is a potent informational hazard. Full cognizance of SCP-3980 is sufficient to kill subjects. Director Kim.
SCP-3980 is physically uncontainable due to its size of about 100 picometers, Commander Narob, or 1.6 billion kilometers, Dr. Lafayette.
The following interview was conducted on 8/1/2014 at the request of FE Lock Director Kim, who claimed to have new information on incident Lock 3980. Would you prefer the role of interviewer or Director Kim?
I could be the interviewer.
Very good and dangerous for me because I have a terrible idea for it. Video file 3980-442. Begin recording. Interviewer is seated in the interrogation chamber. Director Kim is led by 2 armed guards. They are placed in their seat.
Greetings, Director. How have you been holding up?
Director Kim responds, assuring the interviewer their time in custody has been relatively comfortable.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Now that I've heard there's something you wish to share with us?
Director Kim explains a recurring dream they have been experiencing as of late. They slouch in their seat, and I actually don't have dialogue for them. This is narration of... Okay, I've been spared from some very potentially dangerous comedy. This I shouldn't complain.
I see. That is certainly something, isn't it?
Interviewer becomes visibly distracted by the presence of a fly, and swats at it.
Damn things. Yes, what do you think the significance of this is?
Director Kim slouches further in their seat. The flesh around their lips can be seen sloughing off. They begin to recount their final day on site, 1 day prior to the incident.
Go on.
Director Kim details the remembrance of the anomaly to the best of their knowledge. As they do, the interviewer becomes preoccupied with the killing of several more flies. This continues for several minutes. Director Kim shouts animatedly at the interviewer, redirecting his attention. They state 3 words.
No, they can't.
The interviewer expires. Security guards into the chamber and drag Director Kim back to their quarters. The interviewer is led to the site morgue for post-mortem examination. 4 guards were necessary to restrain him. End recording. Well, that is a very interesting discrepancy at the final line there. Of course.
Maybe he didn't die when he died.
A very animate corpse, which implies to me quite possibly he didn't die in the slightest, but rather whatever Kim said had the Foundation treat him as if he were dead. And I imagine if everyone around you said, oh, well, you're a corpse, we can toss in the incinerator now, you'd probably be a bit fidgety as well.
Yeah.
And I know I would be. That is an interesting one. And I see several names I recognize from the previous SCP. Apparently things have not gone well for them post Crooked Man days. I bet the traitor was Lafayette. He was in hot water during the Crooked Man incident as it was. Or she. I don't think that was ever clarified. And it doesn't really matter. Well, request submit. We are done here. Thank you again for joining me, Raven. Congratulations, Raven. I hope you've all enjoyed the stream I think this is officially a record, quite possibly for the entire time I've been doing this, of 29 likes and generous patronage. This has just been a success in absolutely every way. So much success, I'm going to intentionally fire off the confetti twice. Yay! Intentionally!
Can I use the soundboard?
Go for it. Special thanks. 58008, we are shutting down here. If you could say goodbye to the audience and thank them for their attention, and inform them that their attention will not be refunded, and finally end with the lab motto. I hope you recall it. That'd be great. They're not going to remember the Mad Lab motto.
Thank you all for listening to today's episode of SCP Reviews. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, our motto remains: if it doesn't work, we're sorry. Good night, everyone. Page revision count 4.
Okay, well then, bye everyone. And as always, if it doesn't work, we're sorry.